Okay, thank you so much for being here tonight. Welcome to the virtual college exploration event for all Missouri students, sponsored by the Missouri Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. We appreciate you being here tonight and taking the time to join us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many sessions happening over the next couple weeks, so be sure to check out the full schedule at MOACAC.org. And also this presentation is being recorded and would be available within about a week at that same website, again, MOACAC.org. And now I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to our presenters.
Hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining me. My name is Kevin Abernathy. I'm an admissions officer at Northern Arizona University. Amongst some other territories, I help work with students from Missouri, which is really exciting for me because that's where I grew up. I am from St. Louis originally. If you're from St. Louis, you might be wondering what high school I went to. I went to DeSmet Jesuit. And so I'm really excited to talk with you as students from Missouri considering going out of state and coming all the way here to Arizona for college and tell you about some of the opportunities and some of the reasons why NAU could be a good fit for you for your journey after high school. As our host talked about at the beginning, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. We don't have a huge group tonight, so I should be able to get to those questions, and feel free to put them in there as we go through the presentation. I'll try and answer them as we go, or we'll have some time to talk about those things at the end. So I think it's great that you're thinking about NAU, and I'm happy, really excited to tell you more about it. So let's jump in. Here we go. Okay, so first and foremost, NAU is located in Flagstaff. You may or may not know where Flagstaff is, but you might kind of be able to picture Arizona as a state. Arizona is kind of a rectangle. Right in the middle of the state is Phoenix, our capital city and largest city, and 2 hours kind of straight north of there is Flagstaff. Flagstaff is really unique. We are a mountain town. We're at 7,000 feet of elevation. So we're actually one of the highest cities in the country in terms of elevation, of larger cities. We're about 75,000 residents. So we're not as big as the biggest cities in Missouri, but we're very much a good sized city and a great college town. Now, Flagstaff is unique because we have really interesting weather. So if you came to this presentation because you're interested in going to Arizona, oh my gosh, I'm getting lost in my slides here. If you came here because you're interested in going to Arizona because you want to go somewhere that's really hot, unfortunately that's not Flagstaff. As the picture on this slide shows, and as some of the numbers on the side are highlighting, we are a city, we sometimes call ourselves Arizona's coolest city because we're the only spot in the whole state that has never been 100 degrees, and we experience all 4 seasons. So that's a big draw for our students that are coming for the desert or cactus part of Arizona. And that's a big draw for students from other parts of the country as well. We have really mild summers where the highs are in the low 90s, and that's not even every day. And then in the wintertime, we do get about 100 inches of snow every year. So if you are looking for that kind of environment, you have found it here with us at NAU. What's really nice, if you're like, oh my gosh, I really don't know if I can deal with that much snow or that much cold, it's really not that bad. Because even in the wintertime, January, February, our coldest months of the year here, the high temperature each day is still usually in the low 40s. And I know from growing up in Missouri, we had plenty of days where it wouldn't get out of the 30s, or you'd have a whole week where, it would barely get above freezing. And so what's great is when you, if you're a student at NAU, you might wake up in the morning and have to put on a jacket and some pants and go to a couple classes. But by the time you're heading to lunch, you'll realize the sun is out and shining and it's probably 40 degrees and you might be getting a little toasty in your big winter coat. So that is really exciting. And my wife, who, when we moved here to Arizona, she thinks Flagstaff has the best weather of anywhere in the country. So if you ever get a chance to come out here and check it out, you might be able to see it for yourself. I'm going to go back one slide. I do want to talk briefly about just how you get to Flagstaff. So like I said, we're 2 hours north of Phoenix. So some people, if they come to visit or if they're students here, they'll fly into Phoenix and then come up if they're coming from out of state. We have a small airport here, and you can connect into Flagstaff from Phoenix, Dallas, or Denver. And then you see some of the other cities you might be more familiar with and about how far they are away, like Las Vegas, Tucson, Albuquerque are all cities within a handful of hours of Flagstaff. Okay, so what's really cool about our location in Northern Arizona and a big draw for a lot of students is our access to the great outdoors. We like to say the Grand Canyon is in our backyard. It's about 90 minutes away, so it's a big backyard, but we are the closest mid-sized city to the Grand Canyon, so that's why we get lots of visitors in Flagstaff. And for some people, and I just met up with some friends last week, it was their first trip to the Grand Canyon, and it was sort of a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list experience. What's really cool is if you're an NAU student, like the Grand Canyon is close enough that it can be just kind of a day trip, or hey, what do we just went to the Grand Canyon today, which is really awesome and unique and different from most other places. So besides that, there's 10 other National Park Service national parks or monuments within about 3 hours of campus. So there's tons of great places to explore, as well as great spots closer to campus, like in town, like our great city parks, like Buffalo and Thorpe Parks. We do have skiing and snowboarding about 30 minutes from campus. So if you are into the winter sports, Flagstaff is one of the very best places to be a student. And then you might know the famous Red Rocks and Oak Creek Canyon in Sedona, part of Arizona, and that's only about 40 or 45 minutes away. And so a lot of our students like to go down there and explore, and it's great for hiking and lots of outdoor activities. Now, the university itself, I want to tell you a little bit more about it. We are a state school, so the majority of our students are coming from the state of Arizona, about 62%. We are a big school. We're about 21,000 students on our main campus here in Flagstaff. While that is really large and it sounds really big, we tend to function a little bit more like a mid-sized university. A lot of students locally are kind of within our state actually think of NAU and come to NAU because we're the smallest school out of our other state institutions, Arizona State and University of Arizona. We're actually significantly smaller than those schools. So we kind of have that small school vibe, even though we have all these students here. We're over 120 years old now, which was really exciting last year when we got to celebrate that anniversary. So you get to come really be a part of some great history here at NAU and Flagstaff. And you see the other stat on the screen that I'd like to highlight is that we have a large portion of our student population. They're actually the first students in their family to be going off to college and working towards a college degree. Almost half of our students are considered first generation. So if that's you, you would fit right in at home here at NAU. Again, here's a picture, a great picture of campus. So that building you see right there in the middle, that's the Sky Dome where our football team plays. It's like the second largest wooden dome in the country. All the buildings behind it are campus, and then off in the distance is the San Francisco Peaks. You can't quite see it because it's hidden in the background, but it's Humphreys Peak. It's the tallest point in all of Arizona, 12,633 feet. If you're a student at NAU in Flagstaff, you have to hike to the top of that mountain at least once over your 4 years. It's a really incredible experience. And you'll see all the pine trees. That's the other big thing we're known for here in Flagstaff that kind of surround all of northern Arizona and are right here on our campus as well. Now, if you do decide to come to NAU as a student, what's interesting is even though we're a large school, we don't require any students to live on campus. So whether you live on or off campus is completely up to you. However, almost 90% of our first year students live on campus. It's the best way to meet new people, to get connected to resources, to be close to class, events. And so we think it's a great way to start your college career. What's nice is if you really like that first year living experience, you can continue to do that beyond your freshman year. Some schools of our size, they might let you live on campus freshman year, but after that, there's no more space. We actually have enough housing capacity on campus to house every student that wants to live on campus can live on campus, has been able to live on campus the last few years. So that's really cool. And it's a great opportunity for students. Now, as a freshman, if you live on campus, you will live in what we call a residential college. As the bullet points on the slide are talking about, it means you live in a building with students from the same academic college. An academic college is just a part of the sort of an organizing piece of the university that holds all the majors, like what you're studying. So in other words, if you're an English major like I was in college, you would live with other students from our College of Arts and Letters. So that would be things like history, English, art, music, and so those students are all kind of grouped together. And so it's good for you as a student because one, other students around you are going to be into the same kind of thing. So it's sort of like high five, we both love English, or it's going to be students around you are going to be taking some of the same classes. So you can make those connections and interact with students both in the classroom and in your living space. So all good things to consider, and I think it's been a really good system. Our students definitely enjoy it. This is how we break it up. You'll see that on the top of this chart are all of our freshman residence halls, and then down the side are academic colleges. So you can see how each academic college is assigned a couple buildings, so you have a little bit of choice, and you're always going to overlap in that building with one other academic college. So there'll be students that are doing the exact kind of same stuff as you or similar, and then one's doing kind of something different as well. Our freshman halls are all pretty traditional style, like what you see in the movies, or what you think of when you think of a college dorm room, where it's a couple beds, a couple desks, a couple other pieces of furniture. So you see kind of a picture of that on the right of the screen. And then on the left, we do have an honors college. We'll talk a bit more about that later, but that's the one spot where our freshmen live, where it's more like suite style, where the bathroom is in the room rather than down the hall and shared. What's really great, one thing that I think NAU does really well is we have a lot of great food and a lot of great choices for our students on campus. If you're a freshman living on campus, you are required to have a meal plan. The rest of our students are all welcome to opt into meal plans. They can eat at either of our two all-you-care-to-eat dining facilities, which I think have very good food, or they can choose from 25 retail locations, places like Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Pizza Hut, Jamba Juice, as well as some kind of generic campus spaces that do everything from chicken tenders to sushi. What's really cool at NAU, and if you ever get a chance to visit us, you'll see this right away, or you can go to YouTube and type it in and check it out. But what's pictured on the screen here is called a Starship robot. You can order food on your phone at one of those locations. They will prepare that food. They will put it in this robot, and this robot will drive on its own to wherever you've asked it to bring your food on campus. We were really excited when we added these to our campus a bit more than a year ago. We were the second college campus in the whole country to have these guys. And we keep adding more and more, and our students love them. And it's a great convenience to them. Now, the robots use their internal GPS and everything to get around campus, but navigating our campus is really easy. Even though we have so many students, our campus isn't that big. It's about 1.5 miles long and a half-mile wide. While that might not mean much to you, how you can visualize it is that you can walk out of any building on campus and walk to any other building on campus in about 30 minutes or less. Obviously much less if you can see one building from the other, but that's kind of the longest walk you'd ever have. And oftentimes students aren't even doing that because that's like from the extreme end of campus to the other end. We have a great bus system that helps students get around as well, which can be really great if it's a cold morning or you don't feel like making that walk all the way to the other side of campus. And as the slide kind of highlights, we have some great pedways on campus, and we're a gold level bike friendly campus. So a lot of students are biking or skateboarding to get around, to get to class, to meet up with friends, and all that stuff. Campus safety, just want to talk briefly on it. We do have our NAU Safe app, which keeps students alert of anything going on and keeps them informed. We have a fully accredited police department on campus that monitors everything that's going on and responds to any concerns, and other standard features like blue light systems, restricted hall access, etc. And he has some great traditions that we've come up with over our 120-year history, and we hope that as a student you'll participate in some of them. The one pictured on the screen here is called the Running of the Freshmen. It takes place at the first home football game, so it's a great way for students to put on their blue and gold, to cheer on the Lumberjacks. They get to run across the football field at the first home game of the season to get fired up about Lumberjack athletics and hang out with your friends. It's a really cool event, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of students talk about it, the whole rest of their time at NAU. Some of the other great traditions is one of them is the freshman letters, where we take all of our incoming students and we line them up on one of our fields in the NAU logo. We like to say that that's the world record for the most number of people ever come together to spell out the letters NAU. I don't think we've had a lot of competition there. Other great traditions like our Miss Indigenous NAU pageant, which really highlights some of the Native American students and their cultures here in Arizona, which is a big part of our state and our kind of region here, along with really other cool things like Winterfest and such. So in terms of social life at NAU, there are tons of ways for students to get involved. We know that making those connections is really important, especially when you start thinking about these larger schools. So we want you to find ways to engage with and connect with other students that's really going to be valuable for your overall college experience. So with over 400 clubs and organizations, there's going to be a place that's for you. Maybe maybe you're going to find your community within a club based around a hobby or interest of yours. Maybe it'll be based around your cultural or religious or political affiliations or identities. Maybe it'll be based around your academic area or your professional goals. There are so many ways to get involved. Another great option is fraternity and sorority life, which does a great job of kind of shrinking down our huge campus with all those students down to these smaller groups of, between 50 and 100 students, and they can really be your people and support you over that. They're great for sort of leadership experience and building those communities. What's really great, besides kind of all the clubs to join, is that as a large institution, we get to have some really amazing events for our students. The one pictured on the slide here is called the Dive-In Movie. This is actually our Olympic-sized swimming pool that we've actually had like tons of Olympians train in because they come to Flagstaff because of the elevation. And so a couple times a year, we do an inflatable movie screen in there, and we get a bunch of these inner tubes out, and students float around the pool and watch a water-themed movie. So it's been Jaws, it's been Moana, it's been Shark Tale. And so it's a really, really fun event. Besides that, we do movie nights all the time, other events like Wingo, which is bingo with wings. We've had tons of great comedians, concerts, and speakers come to campus. One of the big highlights last year was Angela Kinsley, who plays Angela on The Office. She came and spoke to students, and they were lined up down the block, and it was a really cool night. So there's always fun things to do happening every weekend. One of my favorite events too is called Glow Dodgeball, where they turn off all the lights in the gym and they put on neon lights instead, and students chuck dodgeballs at each other. We want you to stay healthy when you're here at NEU. And like I said, Flagstaff is a great outdoor city, so there's so much to do, whether it's hiking, mountain biking, climbing, just enjoying the outdoors. And that's what a lot of our students love about it. But besides that, we have a really amazing student fitness center that has a rock climbing wall, all kind of the traditional, basketball courts, cardio equipment, weight equipment, but we have tons of group fitness classes for our students to participate in. So whether it's like the one pictured here outside, now that we're trying to do it a little more social distance, but also like spin classes, yoga classes, boxing classes. So there's so many ways that you can hang out with your friends and stay fit that are really cool. The last slide highlighted our swimming pool, but we also have tennis courts, some great rec fields for all of our intramural sports as well. And we do club sports for students that maybe want to continue competing in a sport or try something new without kind of the NCAA Division I commitment. And speaking of NCAA Division I, we are Division I. We have 15 teams competing in everything from football to volleyball, and they compete mostly in the Big Sky Conference. So you'll see on the screen some of our recent accomplishments there. Our men's cross country team actually won 3 national championships in a row, 2016, 17, 18. And then in 2019, they were the national runners up. So we have one of the very best cross country teams in the nation, which has been really exciting. And Flagstaff is a great place to be a runner. And so they're really able to take advantage of that. And our women's swimming and diving team has been really excellent. They've won 7 consecutive conference championships. They're the one team of ours that doesn't compete in the Big Sky. They're in the Western Athletic Conference. So for students, you can attend any of the on-campus events without an additional charge. You don't have to pay for tickets. There's an athletics fee that covers your entrance into every game. So even if you're not into football or basketball or whatever, it's really fun because there's usually some great tailgates, giveaways, chances to hang out with friends and be a part of that side of the university. Now, we're really thankful to have a very diverse and inclusive campus. We know that by having a diverse student body and an inclusive student body, that we actually strengthen everybody, that being exposed to more cultures and more identities is actually really beneficial to your college experience and kind of growing that cultural competency. Now, whether that means you're kind of from an underrepresented group, or if you're a student that is a first generation student or connected to a military family, there are so many ways for you to kind of find your community. We have special support services for students like that, as well as, so those are able to bring those students together, give them additional support if they need it, but also able to share kind of their culture with the wider campus community and help them learn and grow, which is really exciting. So a couple of things to highlight on the screen there is we have a really excellent Office of Inclusion. So for those students that aren't kind of the underrepresented, they have their own space on campus. They have lots of great programming. They do all sorts of fun events, whether it's movies or dances or stuff like that, which is really cool. And then with our location here in Arizona, we are trying really hard to serve our Native American students from across the country, but particularly here locally in our state. So we have a really amazing Native American Cultural Center, which is pretty unique for college campuses. We have over 100 different tribes of Native Americans represented on campus, and we're really proud of that. And we hope that if that's something that you maybe haven't had a lot of exposure to growing up, that if you come here to Flagstaff, you're certainly going to get to see those cultures up front and really learn a lot about some areas of the United States that maybe you don't know much about, and kind of our history going back before the United States was founded. So now we'll switch gears just a little bit and talk a bit about academics. Obviously, that's a huge thing to consider when you're thinking about college. And I want to give you a good overview of what it looks like here at NU, what your opportunities are in terms of majors and what you're going to study. First and foremost, despite our size of over 20,000 students, our average class size is 35. We're pretty proud of that. We think that's a really excellent number. It doesn't mean you won't have any large classes with big lecture halls, but it does mean the majority of your classes are going to be in environments where you get to know your professor and your professor is going to get to know you. We think that's really great for students because it's going to help you academically. You're more comfortable to ask for help. The professor might notice if you need some extra help. And it's also maybe going to open up opportunities to work closely with the professor on a special project or in research or something. You'll see down in the lower part of the slide that we have 9 academic colleges. An academic college, like I said before, is just the thing that holds our majors. 97 undergraduate programs, so hopefully we have what you want to study. And if we don't, there's likely we have something close to it. What's also great about that is that means if you're a student who's ambitious or you have multiple interests, we have so many programs that there might be a good chance to double major or add a minor in some really diverse and interesting ways that you might not be able to find at schools that are a bit smaller. You'll see that we have the master's and doctorate programs, so we have students all the way around the whole academic spectrum. We're going to do a quick tour through the academic college so you know what students are studying here at NAU. If you kind of know what you want to study in college and you'd like to know a little bit more about that, just say something in the Q&A and then I can try and focus on that. But I'm going to give you the brief highlights, and certainly if you have questions, we'll try to answer a couple of those at the end as well. We'll begin with the College of Arts and Letters. So if you've thought about the humanities, so English, history, philosophy, as well as arts, theater, music, this would be your academic college. These students get to do a lot of cool things. The picture here is of our ceramic studio, which is pretty amazing, but our music and theater students are putting on performances, and our other students are really engaging, in the academics of their work. And so it's a really excellent place to kind of explore your college interest. Okay, cool. I see your question. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Thank you. Okay, so we'll continue with the College of Environment, Forestry, and Natural Science, or sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. College of Engineering, Informatics, and Applied Sciences. So if you want to be an engineer, we have some really cool engineering programs, including a brand new multidisciplinary engineering program that does a great job of kind of taking pieces of different ones and putting them together so you kind of create something that's really unique to yourself, as well as traditional ones like mechanical, civil, environmental engineering. And we have some great computer science programs that have really developed over the years as well. What I think school is, a lot of the students in this college, they compete in these competitions where they're either designing or building things, or like a hacking competition on the computer science side, where they're like being able to put into practice some of those skills they're learning in the classroom. We'll continue with the College of Environment, Forestry, and Natural Sciences. This college has some degrees that you've probably thought about, like biology, chemistry, math, statistics, all fall under here. We have some cool programs in this college that really highlight our location here in Flagstaff, one of them being our School of Forestry. So because we're located in the largest ponderosa pine forest in the world, our students get to go out there. We have about 50,000 acres of that are a research forest for our students. So if you've ever wanted to really study and go into that, and he has an amazing place to do it. The other thing that's really cool is we have an excellent astronomy and planetary science program, and Flagstaff has a cool, rich history with that area. We actually, Pluto, the former planet, the now dwarf planet, was discovered here in Flagstaff. And so we have a long history connected to that. And then a lot of NASA astronauts actually came here and trained because of our unique environment here. It kind of was close enough to replicate the moon that they did training here. So if you're part of that program, you get to kind of tap into those cool kind of historical pieces of Flagstaff. Our W. Franke College of Business is great if you want to study anything in business. Besides the kind of traditional business degrees like economics, finance, marketing, management, we have a School of Hotel and Restaurant Management that's actually considered one of the best hospitality programs in the world. You see the rankings there on the screen. We were this 14th best hospitality program in the world rated earlier this year, and the 7th best in the country. So if you ever thought about working in a restaurant, a resort, or anything kind of related to that industry, NEU is one of the very best places to do that. We get tons of tourists here in Flagstaff every year, mostly because of our proximity to the Grand Canyon. And so our students are, it's a great place to go into the hospitality industry because there's lots of connections, lots of ways to gain experience while you're in school. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so our College of Education, NEU started as a teacher's college all the way back in 1899. We're still doing that today. And we are CAEP accredited, and that's a national accreditation. And so that's really good for you as an out-of-state student to kind of have that recognition when you're here in school. And so if you want to be a teacher, you know, this is the place for you. Okay, our College of Health and Human Services, this is going to relate to the question that came in. So they have a couple of, sorry, back up. This is, okay, sorry. The programs here are ones related to health sciences. So things like public health, fitness and wellness, nutrition, physical education, nursing and dental hygiene, along with this communication sciences and disorders. So if you're interested in nursing or dental hygiene, those are competitive programs. You actually have to get admitted into the programs once you're at NEU and go through the prerequisite courses. They can be pretty competitive because we have a limited number of seats to guarantee those students are getting their hours in. So if you would like to study athletic training or physical therapy, those are areas that require a master's degree, but you need to get a good foundation with your undergraduate. And so at NEU, there's two options if you're thinking about going into that field. And NEU can be a good place for it because we have a really well-recognized athletic training and PT program in our graduate college that you can think about moving on to once you finish your undergrad. So as an undergraduate, you would want to either study health sciences, fitness, wellness in this department, or our exercise science, which falls under biology. The difference between those two is exercise science, as it kind of implies, is definitely more on the science side. It tends to be a little bit more focused on how the body functions, how movement works. So it's kind of like kinesiology, where fitness wellness is more focused on kind of taking in some of those principles and then being able to share that out. So it's developing plans that can be effective to people. And so sometimes what you'll hear is that the students in exercise science might have some more of the technical understanding of how those things work, where the students in fitness wellness have a better understanding of how to actually apply that and kind of interact with somebody, and that helps. So either one of them can be a great entry point into a PT or AT program. So I hope that kind of helps clear that up a little bit. Now, our College of Social and Behavioral Sciences houses a whole bunch of other majors, so everything from criminology, sociology, psychology to communications and political science. So lots of cool things to study here. I think our School of Communication is awesome. We have a student-run newspaper, radio station, and TV station. Our TV station has actually been really recognized. Flagstaff is a small enough community that we don't have our own local news here, so the students actually report the local news through NEU's TV station. So I think that's a really awesome opportunity, and you get some great hands-on experience in that School of Communication. So I did say we'd get back to the Honors College. If you are maybe taking honors classes now, or you're thinking about a competitive graduate school or career area, the Honors College can be a good fit for you because it helps you distinguish yourself amongst your peers at graduation, because over the 4 years, you'll take a handful of classes, about 27 credits, and then graduate with honors, which is a great way to separate yourself. It's also good if you're looking for smaller discussion-based classes, some hands-on opportunities, and some sort of like personalized learning opportunities as well. Our Dean of the Honors College likes to talk about it as like a smaller liberal arts type experience within the larger research university. So if your biggest concern, like if you like a lot of things about NEU, but you're really worried about the size, the Honors College can be good because it helps shrink things down a little bit, and you get to take some of those small seminar, like Socratic method type classes that are unique topics as well, which can be really, really cool. The building pictured here is the Honors Residence Hall. So the Honors students first year, if they choose to live on campus, live in this building, which is the newest residence hall on campus. It's cool. It's got some classroom spaces in it. So it's actually the one spot on campus where you can wake up and walk down the steps right into your classroom. You'll probably want to put some shoes on and maybe change out of your pajamas, but pretty convenient that you get to do that. So it's a cool experience, and it's a great space, amazing for like kind of living, learning environment. If you do want to join the Honors College, you have to apply once you've been admitted to NEU, and it involves a couple of short essays, as well as including a resume like / list of activities. Last but not least, we do have a graduate college. So like I mentioned, we have students studying their masters, their doctorates here at NEU all the way across the spectrum. We have a whole bunch of accelerated programs. Those are the ones listed here. So if you were interested in like pursuing something like athletic training, there's ways where you can do it in NEU in 5 years instead of a traditional 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of graduate school. Because typically that senior year, you're taking both undergraduate courses to finish up your undergrad and then graduate courses to start your master's program. We want all of our students, regardless of what major they pick or academic college they're in, to be successful here at NEU, and we have some amazing tutoring functions, as well as mentoring programs to help support students while they're here in college. Our tutoring programs kind of go across every class, every area of study. We have some cool like designated spaces on campus, like a writing center and a math center. We have a program called supplemental instruction where students who've been successful in that class previously actually host additional sessions outside of the regular time to help make sure you're getting concepts, working on problem studying for exams. And it's cool because you're learning from somebody who's already, had that success. One of the things on the mentoring bullet there that I want to highlight is called PeerJack. It's actually a mentoring program for out-of-state students. So if you came from Missouri to NAU, you would automatically be paired up with a PeerJack's mentor. They're there to help guide you in that transition to college life. They might be from Missouri, so you have that connection, or they might be from your area of interest, so they can help you understand kind of the academics of the university. Okay. We want you to be successful when you're in school, but we want you to be successful when you leave NEU. And that's why we have a really excellent career development office that will help you write a cover letter, build a resume, and find that job both while you're in school or out of school. So between some great job fairs, some externship opportunities, and things like that, it can be a really great resource for our students that they appreciate kind of getting that help, finding their career path and getting that started. I do want to talk briefly about the research that goes on here at NEU. What's cool is that we're a large enough institution that we do a lot of great research, and we've grown in that area a lot over the last 10 years. You can see our research expenditures there. It might not sound amazing off the top of your head, but we were really excited when we moved up into the top 200 in terms of amount of research we're doing as an institution. There's like hundreds or thousands of colleges in the US, so to be in the top 200, we're really proud of that. And what's great is that a lot of our research that our professors are doing, they're looking for undergraduates to help them. So you get some amazing opportunities here to work with these professors, in a sense that a lot of other institutions, they might be, those opportunities are probably going to graduate or doctoral students. Our faculty do a whole wide variety of research, but a lot of it can be related to the environment, to space, areas like that we kind of really specialize in. Oh, and also like kind of computer systems, big data type stuff as well. NEU has some great study abroad programs. That can be another reason why to choose NEU. We have some amazing exchange programs where they're actually really strong partnerships that we built up. So your NEU tuition and scholarship goes with you. So it essentially costs the same to study in a different country, and the only kind of difference in cost would be what it costs to live there. So sometimes that's less. And so we send students all over the world, and everything from short-term programs over the summer all the way up to year-long programs. You see right there in the middle of the screen, we actually rank 7th for large universities in terms of number of students we send abroad for a full year. That's because we have a program called IGP, Interdisciplinary Global Program, where you earn a bachelor's degree. You earn 2 bachelor's degrees, sorry. One of them is in science or business, and then the other one is in cultural studies or a second language. In your 4th year, because it takes 5 years to complete the program, you actually spend the full year abroad, where you do the first semester in kind of a traditional college environment, and the second semester is a hands-on research or internship project. So it's a really cool experience, and I'd love to tell you more about it if you're kind of thinking maybe globally about your education, or kind of getting that cultural exposure could be really beneficial to you. Okay, so now on to our admissions requirements. NEU is a rolling admissions process, so you could apply right now tonight, you could apply in a couple of months, and you should hear back within about 2 weeks once you put that application in. On your application, you are asked to self-report your grades in these 16 what we call core courses. So we're not looking at all of the classes you've taken in high school, we're looking at only these 16. All of the time, we're going to be looking at these grades as unweighted, so no pluses or minuses, no bumps for honors, just that letter grade. So those 16 courses are 4 years of math, 4 years of English, 3 years of lab science, 2 years of a social science, one of those is US history, 2 years of the same second language, and then 1 year of a fine art or career and technical education course. So we take those 16 core courses, we calculate an unweighted GPA for you. If it's 3.0 or higher, you're automatically going to be admitted to NAU. If you're below 3.0 but above 2.5, you'll be considered for admission. You can be missing up to 2 of these classes as long as it's not a combination of math and science. We are test score optional. I know that taking the ACT and SAT right now is extremely difficult, so don't worry, you don't need it to get admitted or even to get scholarships at NAU. If you do eventually take it, you can send us your score. We'd love to have it. It can maybe help in some circumstances, but your score will never hurt you, and not having a score won't affect you negatively either. So again, our admissions process, while you're hearing at some other schools, they're wanting you to write an essay, they're wanting you to submit some letters of recommendation. At NAU, we're just going to be looking at this core GPA, and if you meet the requirements, you'll be admitted. It's not a competitive process in the sense of we're looking at a list and picking out, the top students that we want to come to NAU. If you meet the requirements, you're going to be admitted. I'm not sure if we have any transfers here, but there are ways to come into NAU as a transfer, or if you have taken dual enrollment or AP IB courses, those can all transfer in as well. And we can maybe talk about those and kind of some questions if that applies to you. This is the cost of attending to NAU as an out-of-state student. That $25,396 is the tuition rate for the students that started this year. We do our very, very best to keep that tuition rate the same throughout your 4 years. That's what we've been able to do many of these previous years, and we hope to be able to continue to do that. I know that is a high price, but a lot of times that's kind of, if you really want that out-of-state experience, it comes with that higher price tag. In addition to that tuition price, you want to consider the other costs like the fees, which are mandatory, your housing and meal plan, which at NAU is going to add up to about $11,000, as well as your books and supplies, which are going to depend, kind of on what particular classes you're in. I know these amounts look really high, and they probably are, especially if you maybe been going to some sessions of some of the local institutions in Missouri. But if Flagstaff is really attractive to you, there are a lot of ways we can help make this more affordable. And one of them is through our first year merit scholarships. These are automatic consideration. So when you turn your application in, you're also being evaluated for these scholarships. And there's no sort of like numbers restriction on them. If you meet the qualifications, you get the scholarship. And the qualifications are simply that unweighted core GPA. If you're 3.0 to 3.49, that's a $9,000 scholarship that gets subtracted from that $25,000 right off the bat. If you're over 3.5, it's an $11,000 scholarship. Again, subtract it from that $25,000. So hopefully that starts making the tuition and the cost of attendance at NAU seeming a bit more reasonable. Those scholarships are renewable for 4 years. You have to keep your grades up and take enough classes that can continue to advance along. But it can really help make things, that out-of-state experience, possible. We have transfer scholarships if you fall into that category. If you're involved in any of these programs, NAU has some good scholarships to kind of supplement those other ones. So that's whether that's you're completing IB program or you become a national merit semifinalist or finalist. There are some cool additional scholarships you can get from NAU. The other big way to help pay for school, hopefully at this point you're familiar with it, is the FAFSA, so the free application for federal student aid. It's going to open on October 1st, so we're getting pretty close to that. If you are going to apply to NAU, we encourage you to submit the FAFSA to us as well, so we can evaluate to see if you qualify for any grants, loans, or federal work study. The grants are free money. You get awarded. You don't have to pay it back. It just helps you go off to college, while the loans are money that's going to help you pay for college that eventually you will be paying back. If you are really interested in NAU and you apply soon, I would encourage you to have your FAFSA submitted to us by November 15th, because then you're in the first group of students that gets reviewed. You'll have your financial aid package in by January, and typically that's when we have the most money available. If you miss that deadline, no big deal. Still plenty of money left, and you can continue to apply for the FAFSA all the way up until our essentially the school year starts. But typically you want it in by the decision deadline at the beginning of May. So if you eventually do decide to come to NAU, we'd love to have you. We'd love for you to become a lumberjack. The first step is to pay an enrollment deposit, and then you'd continue working on some other next steps like applying for housing if you're on campus, working on priority enrollment to get set up in your classes, registering for orientation, etc. If you didn't get enough out of this experience today, you can take a virtual tour of our campus if you go to nau.edu/virtual. It's a great way to get a feel for things. I know that putting your feet on the ground on campus is a big deal and can do a lot for you, but the virtual tour will kind of have to suffice for now, most likely. But if you do find yourself in Arizona or Flagstaff, our campus is open, so you're welcome to come walk around, and our admissions office is open, so you can meet and talk with somebody as well. We do have daily presentations there, so if you'd like to hear some more about NAU, it's probably pretty similar to this, but it can be good to get another perspective that can be really beneficial in kind of checking things out. That's the end of the presentation. This is my contact information on this slide. I'd encourage you to write this down because I'm the admissions officer for Missouri. Please feel free to email me or call me. I am more than happy to answer your questions, help you through the admissions process, scholarships, programs, all of that stuff. I'm your main contact, and I look forward to helping you. So please write those down so we can get connected. At this point, if you have any questions, we got like maybe 5 minutes, and since there's not a whole lot of us here, hopefully we can get to your questions. Okay, yeah, so if you have a whole bunch of college credits already, they will probably transfer to NAU. You can go to our website and go to nau.edu/JaxPath, and you can actually plug in the exact classes you've taken and see how they'll transfer. And if we don't know already, usually get a response back within just a couple of weeks, but it's likely pretty much everything ends up transferring in. It might count for a specific class that you would no longer have to take, or it might count towards your general 120 credits you need for graduation. So if you're at 17 already, that is awesome. That's like a whole semester. So maybe that means you graduate a semester early. Maybe it means you have some flexibility in your schedule in terms of you don't have to take as many classes each semester, or maybe it allows you to take a minor or do a double major or something like that. So having that many credits already is really awesome. All right, any other questions? So one thing I'll let you know, if you do want to apply to NAU, it might only take you like 30 minutes. It's really easy. Just nau.edu/apply. You tell us who you are, you tell us what your grades are, what classes you're taking right now, and then like I said, hopefully you have an admissions decision within a couple of weeks. For joining me today, if you want to write this down or just try to remember it, at the end of the application, if you put in hashtag NAU21, so NAU21 hashtag, you'll be able to apply for free. That's the fee waiver code. Normally it's like 25 bucks. You put that in, you don't pay the $25, and then you'll know pretty quickly whether or not you're admitted to NAU. And then as you kind of hear your other admissions decisions, you can make that final decision as you get closer on down the line. You have all the way until May. Like I said, you could apply right now, you could apply in March. It doesn't really matter. We don't have those kind of strict deadlines or windows like other schools do. But I hope you all are having a good school year. I know it's really different from normal, but it's awesome to see so many students still kind of looking into what college is going to be like and trying to gather information so they can make the best decision possible. And that's why I want to be a resource for you going forward to help you make those decisions, because making an informed decision is kind of the best thing that you can do. But yeah, if we don't have any more questions, that's probably it.
Okay, well, we can wrap up from here. Thank you so much, Kevin, for sharing this information. It was really, really great. I'm sure that our participants appreciated it. And again, we'll have a lot of students viewing this on demand as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Here, I'll stop. That might help.
Oh, you're good. I think it'll override it. Okay, so just real quick, again, to our participants, thank you so much for joining us. And when you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We certainly appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, again, this is just one of many sessions that are being hosted over the next couple weeks, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at moacac.org. If you would like to review anything in this presentation or other presentations, recordings are available also at that website at moacac.org. Again, thank you for being here tonight. We thank you, Kevin, for your time and for participating as well. Have a great evening.
Yeah, bye everybody. Thank you.